Hello, friends, and welcome back to Vinyl Riffs. I'm Sean Gaillard, and I'm so glad that you are here. Maybe you're listening while driving somewhere. Maybe you're out for a walk or a run. Maybe you're sitting with a cup of coffee. Maybe you're someone who loves music and stories and ideas, but doesn't always have people around you who want to talk about these things. If that's you, pull up a chair. Let's spend a few minutes together in late 1967, while everyone else seemed to be walking in one direction, Bob Dylan quietly chose another path. And that decision gave us one of the most fascinating albums of his career, John Wesley Harding. I recently picked up a mono copy of this record, and the more I've listened to it, the more I've realized that this isn't just a great album. It's an album about stepping away from the noise. Now, if you're not familiar with John Wesley Harding, let me set the stage. 1967 was the year of the summer of love, the year of psychedelic rock, the year of colorful album covers, swirling sound effects, and increasingly ambitious studio productions. Just months earlier, the Beatles had released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, an album that changed popular music forever. Artists were embracing paisley shirts, day glow colors, and new sonic possibilities. The trend was bigger, louder, more elaborate, more experimental, more daring. And then along comes Bob Dylan, and he goes in the opposite direction. There's no psychedelia here, no elaborate studio wizardry, no technicolor production, no attempt to compete with what everyone else was doing. Instead, John Wesley Harding feels almost timeless, rooted in folk music, country music, gospel music, American storytelling. It's almost as if Dylan looked at everything happening around him and decided to walk in the other direction. I've always admired artists who have the courage to do that. The most famous song on this album is probably All Along the Watchtower. Even if you've never heard John Wesley Harding, you've likely heard that song. A year later, Jimi Hendrix would take Dylan's mysterious little composition and transform it into one of the most celebrated recordings in rock history. It's epic, electric, grand, powerful, hypnotic. Yet hearing Dylan's original version here tells you everything you need to know about this record. It's restrained, it's mysterious, it leaves space. It doesn't demand your attention, it invites your attention. And the more time you spend with it, the more it reveals. To understand why, we need to go back just a little bit further. In 1966, Dylan was arguably the most influential figure in popular music. He by then had released Bringing It All Back Home, Highway 61 Revisited, and Blonde on Blonde, those three albums. Then came the motorcycle accident, the tour stopped, the spotlight faded. People wondered where Dylan had gone. He had faded from the spotlight. But here's the thing, Dylan didn't disappear. He simply chose a different rhythm. During this time, he was raising a young family with his first wife, Sarah. He was becoming a husband and a father while the world kept asking when Bob Dylan, the icon, would return. At the same time, he was spending time in Woodstock with the musicians who would eventually become the band. Together, they gathered in the basement of a house nicknamed Big Pink. There was no audience, no expectations, no demands, no pressure to create the next masterpiece. Just friends making music together and having a good time doing it. Playing old folk songs, country songs, gospel songs, and traditional songs, writing new songs, following curiosity wherever it led. Many of those recordings would eventually become known as the basement tapes. What fascinates me most is that from the outside, it probably looked like Dylan had stepped away from his work. In reality, he was doing some of the most important work of his life, in my opinion. He was building a life. He was spending time with family. He was surrounded by trusted collaborators and friends. He was creating without worrying about immediate results. And eventually, out of that season came John Wesley Harding. That's the riff that keeps coming back to me. We live in a world that celebrates visibility, more accomplishments, more announcements, more content, more likes, more downloads, more noise. Yet some of the most important seasons of our lives happen when nobody is watching or downloading or scrolling. Sometimes growth happens in public, and sometimes it happens in our own version of the basement at Big Pink, a place where we can reflect, a place where we can heal, a place where we can reconnect with ourselves, a place where we can spend time with trusted bandmates. I think that's especially important for leaders, really for anybody. Many of us feel pressured to have all the answers, to keep moving, to keep producing, to keep delivering the bottom line, to keep performing. But there are seasons when the best thing we can do is to slow down long enough to just listen, to listen to ourselves, to listen to the people we care about, to listen to the people we serve, to listen to the life we're actually trying to build. The more I listen to John Wesley Harding, the more it sounds like someone who stepped away long enough to remember what mattered. Not just a musician, but a husband, a father, a friend, a bandmate, a collaborator, a human being. And maybe that's why this album speaks to me right now. I've spent a lot of time lately thinking about belonging, about mattering, about being a part of something new and different, thinking about the people who help us feel seen, thinking about the people who save us a seat, the people who remind us who we are when we forget. Those are our bandmates. And maybe that's the lesson I keep coming back to. Every one of us needs a space like the Big Pink. Not necessarily a basement in Woodstock, although that would be kind of cool, but a place where we can be ourselves, a place where we can think, a place where we can create, a place where we belong, and people who will walk alongside us while we're figuring things out. Maybe you're in one of those seasons right now. Maybe you're between chapters. And maybe you're rebuilding something, something meaningful. And maybe you're carrying more than most people realize. If that's you, I want you to know you're not alone. And I hope that this album reminds you that not every important season is meant to be lived in the spotlight. Sometimes the quiet seasons are where the deepest growth occurs. Sometimes stepping back is actually moving forward. Sometimes choosing a different path is exactly what we need, just like Dylan did in late 1967. Thank you for spending a little time with me today. As always, I hope that this record finds you exactly where you need it. Until next time, keep spinning, keep grooving, and keep believing.